What is this thing? What is this thing? People come here and they say, that's a nice piano. You have a lot of pianos in your house. But they're not pianos, they are harpsichords. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about how they work. This is a single manual harpsichord. It only has one keyboard. This one over here, you can see, has two keyboards, and we'll get to why it has two keyboards and what that does in this video. Unlike a piano, the harpsichord has strings that are plucked, not hammered. And they're plucked, give you a sound. They're plucked by these things called jacks, and what I'm showing you now are these plastic jacks. And each plastic jack has in it a little tiny thing that looks like a bit of like a guitar pick made out of plastic. So here, if I can point to it, that itself right there is the actual pick that I'm touching with my fingernail. This felt thing is a damper that comes down, and when the string, when I'm done playing it, I drop the damper and it mutes the string. You know, on this instrument there's two courses of strings, and so this is what the sound of one of them is. Alright? And then, much like a 12-string guitar, you can have a second set turned on, and you can have two at once for a much richer sound. For each key that I'm pressing, two jacks go up and pluck the strings, and if I play slowly enough like this, you can see it happening one at a time. But usually when you play so quickly that they both sound at the same time, you can't really tell it's happening. I'm going to pull one out of the socket and show you what it looks like though. This whole thing is called the jack, and when you press down the key, a lever, wooden lever, goes and pushes up on this jack, and this is what it looks like up close. That's the plectrum, that little guitar pick. This thing in the back is called the tongue. And there's the felt damper, and the whole thing is the jack. Okay, so now the jack rail is back on it. So this is what the back 8 sounds like, the stronger sounding one, less nasal one. Here's the same thing on the more nasal sounding, what we call the front 8. Now if you put them all together, you get this. Nice and rich. I'm going to show you another effect that this harpsichord has. Okay? There is a stop that I can pull, this thing right here, that when I pull it, it pulls a piece of leather, cut leather, against all of the strings of the back 8 stop. So what we get all the way down does that. Okay? So what you get when you play the string now is you get a plucky effect that sounds like a lute or a muted guitar. this harpsichord is a double manual 2-keyboard harpsichord with reverse keys, because that's what was a style in some places and sometimes. Normally on modern pianos, the white keys here would be black and the black keys would be white. This has been nicely painted, as is the custom. The builder of this instrument was William Dowd, and he painted the soundboard. He said, "I'm the Grandma Moses of soundboard painters." And he got permission to paint this one. Sometimes the lid is painted, and that can be quite elaborate, but this is just nice and plain. It goes with the rest of our mission furniture. This golden thing here in the hole, sound hole, is called the rose. They're all different. Every harpsichord's different. Okay, so this harpsichord is more elaborate than the other harpsichord. It has 2 sets of strings that are the same as the other harpsichord. It has 2 eights. So this is what one of the 8s sounds like. Then there's a whole other set of strings that's plucked by a whole other set of those plectrums. And these have a more nasal quality. So you can have a contrast. Alright, so this is why you might want to use 2 manuals, because you can have a powerful, rich sound down here with the regular set of strings and the octave higher strings, the 4-foot, and then on top you can have a contrasting, much more quiet. Okay? Because I can't make a volume difference otherwise. This one is that you can couple the 2 keyboards together, and this is why you have 2 keyboards. Look, I push this in, and now when I play this keyboard, I'm going to get the strings from this keyboard playing with the strings of this keyboard at the same time. So you're getting a much richer sound like you did on the other instrument, except this one, I'm going to make it back just to the single 8. It has a few other nice stops on it. We call them stops. So nothing, okay? It has a stop that's an octave higher than the other set of strings. So these strings are much shorter and much thinner. So here's the pitch of this much higher set. Now you can couple that together with the original longer set of strings and get the note and an octave higher. Without it. And then for a really super loud sound, you can couple all 3 together. The upper manual's 8-foot strings, these set of strings, and the 4-foot set of strings, the upper octave. That's about as loud as the instrument gets. If you want, you can also use the buff stop like you can on this one, the lute stop, and pieces of leather go against the strings. There's a switch right here that lets me put the lute stop on with the leather. There's one more stop that the instrument has, which is a really nice stop called the peau-de-buffle. And that one, instead of the plectrums being made out of plastic, like little guitar picks, they're actually made out of pieces of leather. Plucking with the leather.